this section, we're going to look at how you can use Tabnine to fix code and also to improve the quality of your code. We'll begin with fixing code, and this is really quick and straightforward. All you have to do is click on the fix link that you find above each function in your code, or, as in this case, above the class definition or at the top of the file. So let's walk through a scenario where I have a problem in my code, and we'll look at how this will help me to resolve that problem in my code. So I have here an interface called user, and we're going to, this interface has a number of abstract methods. We're going to add a new abstract method called setPersonalDetails. And as a result of this change, my administrator class, which implements that user interface, now has a problem. Holding the mouse over this red line shows that, of course, our class here must now implement that abstract method. So to resolve this, really straightforward, very easy, just click on the fix link. So Tabnine is now generating a suggestion in the chat panel. And it's taking the error message coming from the IDE. It's also taking the code within the scope of that code block. All of this is fed into the context and used to provide an appropriate suggestion. And in here we have some updated code. Let's look at the diff. So in here I can see that Tabnine has added a new method called setPersonalDetails. So it's implementing that abstract method for me, and it's also included a number of variables as well to support that. Okay, so let's insert that code into our file by clicking on the insert link down here, and we can see that our error has gone away. The problem has been resolved. So now let's turn our attention to optimizing code. And again, the easiest and the best way to do this is through the chat assistant and through the use of a natural language prompt. So to walk you through an example of this, I'm going to show you a common problem in Java where we attempt to read a file using a buffered reader, and we try to close that buffered reader when we're done. As some of you may know, there can be many situations where this doesn't happen as expected, and this can lead to a buffered reader that's not closed, and it's sitting in memory, and it's a big resource, a big memory leak. All right. So to address this, just very simply highlight the code in question, turn to your chat assistant, and you can just say something like optimize this code or optimize this function. And you'll get a response back from the chat assistant with a suggested fix or optimization. And so in this case, our Tabnine is telling us that we should use a try with resources statement to ensure that the buffered reader is closed automatically after use. Okay, and that's this line here. And I believe this was introduced in JDK 7. So this is a correct fix and an optimal fix for our code. Another quick example is this print Celsius function. So again, highlight the code and ask Tabnine to optimize it. And this is a very simple function, but here within this function, we're performing the same Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion twice. So we are violating the dry principle. And so you can see in the output here that Tabnine is suggesting that we separate that calculation, move it into a separate method altogether, and then just call that method when and where required, which is a good optimization for this code. Even though it's a very simple example, in a fairly complex piece of code, this would remove a fair bit of redundancy. Now, you're not always going to get away with simply saying optimize my code. Very often you'll have to be more specific about the problem at hand and the optimization that you're looking for. So to give you an example of this, I have a project here called WebGoat from OWASP, and it contains a number of deliberate vulnerabilities. So I can now ask Tabnine, let's kick off a conversation here. I'm going to ask Tabnine, can you identify any vulnerabilities in this code? And so, yeah, the code is vulnerable to SQL injection. That is correct. This is correct. And in here we have a snippet of code, and this is where the vulnerability is present. So let's have a look. It's check user query. Let's search through our code. There it is. So we're taking in a username parameter, and it would appear that we're not sanitizing that parameter whatsoever prior to executing the query against the database. So let's now ask our assistant to provide us with an optimization here. So, again, remember, with the chat assistant, the context includes the conversation history. So when I next ask this question, it knows that, the optimization I'm looking for is specifically about this vulnerability. So I can say, provide code to mitigate against this vulnerability. Okay, and what Tabnine is now suggesting is that we use a prepared statement to basically make sure that that input field has been properly sanitized prior to executing the query. So this is, again, a good optimization, and we got there by asking a few questions along the way.